And ultimately, guys, here's the truth and the real, like, no BS realization that helped me snap out of it. If you really want to break it down, all motivation is so most people, they will literally wait and continue their bad habits until ultimately, guys, what most people fail to realize, and I mean the ultimate key switch for me. So guys, I'm gonna be real honest with you. Motivation for me, at least, was my biggest enemy. It made me feel like I was doing something, even when in reality, on the grand scheme of things, I was not really doing much or really changing anything as far as like early on in my fitness journey and when I was really trying to take my fitness journey serious. And ultimately, guys, here's the truth and the real, like, no BS realization that helped me snap out of it and realize that, you know, motivation by itself isn't ultimately going to help me see some real tremendous results. Not even tremendous, isn't ultimately what's going to help me see the real results that I'm looking for as far as like my overall fitness goals and just overall for me personally going through this self-improvement journey. So in this video, I'm going to just basically be sharing what I've come to reflect and just overall I've come to realize as to why motivation was ultimately my biggest enemy. And it wasn't what was the driving force as far as my overall personal fitness goals. And a little bit of backstory on me, guys. My name is Edward, as you guys may or may not know. I used to weigh over 300 plus pounds during the peak of COVID around 2021. That was when I recorded myself after COVID, and I realized how big I'd gotten. And as of today, which is we're in November of 2025, I'm currently sitting around 220 pounds. So I've lost over like 80 plus pounds within those few years. A lot of trial and errors. Like I said, it took me a while to get to where I'm at today, mainly because a lot of issues that I was dealing with and not really understanding the process of how this fitness journey is. Like it's a journey. It's really a journey that you have to commit to for the rest of your life. That was something I didn't really understand, and just overall not understanding that you can't just be leaning on motivation to just get you through the workouts or get you through, you know, your nutrition. And just overall throughout my fitness journey, the one key main factor that I've realized most people, especially me when I was starting my fitness journey, that I was really struggling to realize was just how motivation by itself wasn't going to be the main key driving force to really help me, propel me when I'm in like month 4, month 5 of a cut. Because guys, for most people who don't even know, who are big and overweight, they don't realize how long they're gonna have to be cutting and dieting for. 6 months, honestly, is I would call it a minimum for most people, and most people aren't ready to commit 6 months. And like I said, motivation can only maybe carry you 1 or 2 months out of those 6 months, but the remainder of those 4 or 5 months, guys, motivation is not gonna always be there for you. So let me just tell you that off the rip. Now, what I've come to realize about the overall trap of motivation, guys, is that initially, especially for beginners and people who are really like high on motivation, for most people initially that initial spark of motivation is kind of like their progress meter, when ultimately, guys, if you really want to break it down, all motivation is dopamine without any action. It's temporary, it spikes and it fades. It's never something that's consistent, which is one key thing of overall your fitness journey, is being consistent. What you will come to realize is that motivation is not always going to be consistent. Motivation also tricks your mind and tricks your body ultimately into always believing that you'll start tomorrow, or like there's always this perfect time to start. Usually for some people, it's gonna be this New Year's coming up. A lot of people are gonna have the highest. I feel like if there's a stat that you could literally gauge most people's inner motivation, January 1st, the first 2 weeks of January, I feel like everybody will have the highest level of motivation for those 2 weeks. So again, most people, they like to wait for the right moment or the right time or a fresh start. They think, let me start on Monday or let me start on Sunday. They think, let me start the beginning of the new week or the beginning of the new year. So most people, they will literally wait and continue their bad habits until a certain date. And that's all because of their motivation that they're waiting for that may not even come. And even if it comes, like I said, it may be temporary. So that's why most people don't know how detrimental it is by just delaying and just like putting off yourself. What you're essentially doing is, if you're waiting for January to like better yourself, you're essentially telling yourself that your overall main goal or whatever it is that you want to set for the new year, it's not really a priority if you're willing to give up weeks, because we still have weeks. We're still in November, and people are going to wait till December to start their New Year's resolution. And then when that time comes, they'll have the motivation for 2 weeks. Then after those 2 weeks are gone, they'll go back to their bad habits without even knowing it subconsciously. And then before you know it, closer to December 2027, they'll be back at square one, which is the worst feeling in the world, knowing that you wasted a whole year not even accomplishing half of your goals that you had set for yourself in the beginning of the year. Ultimately, guys, what most people fail to realize is that motivation, it just keeps you chasing some feelings that aren't even there 100% of the time, instead of chasing actual physical, tangible results. And especially for me, guys, early on in my fitness journey, when I was the most stagnant and like I would say I was at my longest plateau, not realizing that what was killing me, my progress of losing weight, was just overall my headstrong, like my overall my overall look and perspective of how I was leaning so much on motivation to get me through my workouts and get me through my day in general, which ultimately was setting me back. Because yeah, guys, reflecting back early on in my fitness journey, I noticed that the only times that I would go to the gym were when I was feeling good, or when I was feeling like, I had a good enough energy, or like just overall, I realized that the only times that I would go to the gym or on days when I felt good. Like literally, I can recall every single day that I went to the gym, I wasn't even doing anything anyway. So when I was really early on in my fitness journey, I realized that, the only times I would see myself going to the gym was usually like, luckily the way I would schedule it, it just happened to just be that way. But I realized that I was only going to the gym and doing the right things as far as my tracking my nutritions on days where I just ultimately felt like it. And that was usually for me Monday through Fridays. Saturdays and Sundays, those are the days that I consider my overall downward spiral days, because those are the days I had the least motivation to go to the gym. Those are the days I was treating as like those were also the days that I was treating as a reward day for some odd reason. Another thing that was messing up my overall progress was that I would be good Monday through Fridays, and then as a result, I would just tell my brain, for all my good work that I was putting in, let me slack off on the weekends and not go to the gym or not eat correctly. And I would use those 2 days as a reward day, which ultimately, guys, it's not the mindset you want to keep yourself in. You want to be consistent every single day of the week, not just Monday through Fridays. I actually kind of recommend for most people to split up the workouts where they're working out on the weekends too, like at least on a Saturday, so you're not even trying to tempt yourself to even use the weekend as a binge day or as a slack off day, because you don't want to slack off, because in my opinion, if you slack off for 1 week, it can just compile, and then without you even knowing it, it could just, and days become weeks, and then before you know it, you'll be back to square one. So yeah, I noticed that for me personally, I was only going to the gym when I felt like it. I was only, my overall mindset was that I was using food as an inspiration. So I would tell myself, if I did well on these weekdays, on the weekends, I'll go off and I'll go crazy, eat all the snacks, eat all the junk foods, just because I did well on the weekdays, which is the dumbest thing, which looking back was the dumbest mistake I've ever made. And what was kind of annoying looking back on it now, especially, was that when I would do well on the weekdays and then use the weekend as like a reward cheat day, I would tell myself, okay, Sunday's now back. Usually my cheat day was usually Saturday, sometimes Saturday and Sunday, but I got to a point where I made it once a day, which is still not the best. Having a cheat day once every week, having 4 cheat days a month is ultimately not going to help you get to your goals. If you guys didn't know that, I'm going to tell you this right now. No matter if you're a beginner, intermediate, or like somebody who's super advanced, I don't see how you can have 4 cheat days in a month and see any progress. But I digress on that topic. But what I was doing, guys, looking back on it, was, like I said, I was doing good Monday through Friday. Saturday was my whole cheat day. And then again, like I told you, that motivation would kick back, and then I'll tell myself, okay, Sunday I'll go back to square one, lock back in on Sunday. But for Saturday, let me just take a break and just eat a whole bunch of shit. And then, Sunday comes around, I'll use that as a reset day, because, Sunday's the start of the new week. So let me use Sunday as a reset day. And that was the motivation there. That was what I was telling myself, and that was what was killing my gains and keeping me at a plateau for the longest time, was because I was using Saturday and sometimes Sunday. But let's say if I wasn't using Sunday, that one Saturday was just crazy for me, and because I wasn't doing any workouts, I was lazy and just stacking food on junk food, so that wasn't good for me. So that was kind of what was derailing me overall. In my overall fitness journey was just using the weekends as a binge day reward, and then telling myself Sunday or Monday will be my reset day, which is not what you want to be telling yourself. You want to be consistent every single day. At least try to be consistent every single day. So yeah, guys, the ultimate key switch for me that made me see the most results as far as my weight loss goals, my overall feeling, how my moods, my overall feeling as a guy, as a man, just feeling more like, what is the word I'm looking for? Feeling just more accomplished as far as my fitness goals, my physique goals, and just my overall health and wellness, guys. The key switch for me, guys, started when I completely abandoned the idea of just leaning completely 100% on my motivation to get me through my day, my workouts, my routines, my nutrition, my overall workout plan and diet. Me just, I don't want to say abandoning it. I don't want to say completely abandoning the motivation, because like I said, motivation is what gets most people in the door. But I would say right now, as of today, 10% of the time, motivation is there for me. Like, there's days I do not want to go to the gym, but my body I'm just so used to it. It's literally part of my routine now. There's no way I cannot not go to the gym. Like, if I don't go to the gym on a day I'm supposed to, I literally just get agitated. So that's kind of how it's ingrained in me to this day. But especially early on, that's what's going to get most people in the door, is that initial motivation. But trust me, when you're in this shit and you're doing this for a long period of time, there's going to be days where you don't feel like going, but you'll still end up going because it's just part of you. So that's the key thing for me, guys, was I started to neglect and completely not associate so much with motivation to get me through my day, and just using motivation as like my sole key factor to help me get me through my workouts and just get me through my routine. No, for me, the key switch for me that helped me see the most progress was leaning on my discipline. Because when I leaned on my discipline, I made that part of my routine. Having discipline just helps you make your overall fitness journey part of your routine. And when I was making it part of my routine, I realized I was stacking weeks on weeks on weeks. And before I knew it, 2-3 months of me being consistent, I was able to put that together. And then I saw a tremendous amount of results in those 3 months. This whole summer, I was locked in this whole entire summer. And once I came back into school, starting late August, most people in my class did not even recognize me, because I was so locked in for those 3 months. I sacrificed, going out to parties, going out to eat, and I did not have any motivation to do that, because like I said, I was motivated to just, I say at the beginning of the summer, I was motivated and locked in. I told myself, you know what, for these next 60 to 90 days this whole summer, I'm gonna lock in. But after like 2-3 weeks went by, I started to slip. My motivation started to slip, and then also my discipline started to kick in. And I just told myself, I need to get through this shit. I need to see the results. This summer, I need to make a serious change. And once I started to lean more on my discipline and less on my motivation, that's when I was able to lock in the whole summer. And before I knew it, the summer went by. I'm not gonna lie, this summer went by pretty fast, for me at least. And once the summer was done, I was at a really lean weight. I was feeling the best that I'm feeling right now. And right now, I'm just literally just getting those extra few pounds off before I get into my lean bulking phase. But for me, guys, this whole summer, literally, like I'm saying, this past summer changed my whole life as far as my physique, as far as my mindset, just understanding the importance of having discipline and not leaning solely on motivation to get me through my overall fitness journey. That was game changer for me, guys. So yeah, guys, just to conclude this video, guys, I want to just express how much and how serious your overall fitness journey will be if you completely understand the importance of you just stop like solely chasing motivation, and realizing once you stop chasing motivation, that is ultimately when you're going to unlock consistency, in my opinion. And once you unlock consistency, that's when you also unlock discipline, having a routine where you're sticking to this routine even on days where you don't feel like going or where you don't feel like doing what you want to do. And yeah, guys, you ultimately want to get to a point where you stop being motivated. You start becoming the man or the person in general who never needs to be motivated to get them through their workouts, to get them through their day, or just overall using motivation to get them through their overall fitness journey. Once you get to that point, guys, I'm telling you, that's going to be a game changer. So yeah, guys, motivation made me feel good. Discipline made me proud. And if you're tired of restarting, stop chasing the feeling and start building a system.